Good morning and welcome to New Hanover County Schools The Morning Show. I'm Jamie Stalford.
And I'm E.J. McGonigal. This is the week of Monday, April 14th through Sunday, April 20th.
This week in our show, we have many excellent and educational features.
Today, we'll meet Sunset Park's Elementary School's Teacher of the Year, Bridget Tucker. We learn a little about her and her teaching practices that lead to her selection.
We also feature a new Math Fun 101. This week, we have a challenging question to answer involving weight and hill angles.
In the latest edition of College Bound 411, we highlight 3 scholarships as well as the latest College Bound tips.
And in addition to all those nifty segments, today's show features the fan favorite Student Voices. Hear what students at Pine Valley Elementary had to say when asked if they think it is important to learn a second language.
It's another exciting, educational, and fun-packed show.
But before we get things going, let's swing over to our news anchor, who's standing by with this week's Your School News headlines. Good morning.
Good morning, Jamie, EJ, and welcome everyone to Your School News here on The Morning Show. Topping the headlines this week, Board of Education holds their April meeting, Barth brothers visit College Park Elementary, Park and Moorhead Kane scholarships are announced, and I will have all of those stories and more coming up later in the show.
Thanks. Now we get things going today with a segment we call This Week in History. Our Grand Master of Historical Knowledge has all the headlines from past times in This Week in History, brought to you by Kidsville News.
Welcome to This Week in History. I'm your historical host, Jacob Treemstra, covering all the colorful and amazing events that have left their mark on history's timeline. This is the week of April 14th through April 20th. April 14th, 1865. John Wilkes Booth, an actor and Confederate sympathizer, fatally shoots President Abraham Lincoln at a play at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. The attack came only 5 days after Confederate General Robert E. Lee surrendered his massive army, effectively ending the American Civil War. April 15th, 1947. Jackie Robinson becomes the first African American in the major leagues when he plays his first game with the Brooklyn Dodgers. During his first season, Robinson encountered racism from opposing teams and fans, as well as some of his own teammates. April 16th, 1947. A giant explosion occurs during the load of fertilizer onto the freighter Grand Camp at a pier in Texas. Nearly 600 people lost their lives and thousands were injured when the ship was literally blown to bits. April 17th, 1815. Heavy eruptions of the Tambora volcano in Indonesia begin to end. The volcano, which began rumbling on April 5th, killed almost 100,000 people directly and indirectly. The eruption was the largest ever recorded, and its effects were noted throughout the world. April 18th, 1906. At 5:13 a.m., an earthquake estimated at close to an 8 on the Richter scale strikes San Francisco, California, killing hundreds of people as it topples numerous buildings. The shockwaves could be felt from southern Oregon down to Los Angeles. Finally, your weekend history tidbits. April 19th, 1775. At about 5 a.m., 700 British troops on a mission to capture Patriot leaders and arsenal march into Lexington. 77 armed Minutemen under Captain John Parker wait for them. When ordered to disperse, the shot heard around the world was fired from an undetermined gun, and the beginning of the Revolutionary War was underway. April 20th, 1777. The first New York State Constitution is formally adopted by the Convention of Representatives of the State of New York, meeting in the upstate town of Kingston. That's This Week in History, your ultimate source for those key moments in time. I'm Jacob Triebstra. Thanks for stopping by.
This Week in History is brought to you by Kidsville News, a fun and effective learning resource for children, teachers, and parents. It features school news, information, and local and community events while promoting literacy and the development of good reading habits in young children, and best of all, Kidsville News is always free. Copies are delivered every month to every elementary school in the New Hanover County school system.
And join us again next time for another journey through time as we explore the fun, fascinating, entertaining, and educational facts that make up This Week in History.
Now don't go away. We'll be right back.
One day, you were simply struggling to be a dad. The next, you're coping with a diagnosis of childhood cancer. CureSearch.org can help. It's run by doctors and scientists whose research has led to an overall cure rate of 78%. You're not as alone as you feel.
Every book is an adventure waiting to come to life. Visit new worlds. Encounter new friends. And discover the power of reading. Go to read.gov to read A Princess of Mars, the first novel to feature John Carter. A new world awaits. Read.
Welcome back to the morning show. I'm Jamie Stafford. Each month, we are thrilled to spotlight an individual school's Teacher of the Year. In this segment entitled A+ Teachers, we take the time to get to know a little bit about the teacher's background and get an understanding of their philosophy of teaching that earned them their school's honor of Teacher of the Year. This morning, we feature Sunset Park Elementary School's Teacher of the Year, Bridget Tucker.
My philosophy towards teaching is that every child, regardless of their background, has the ability to learn, and my job as an educator is to make them be successful in life and to help them with that journey. I was born and raised right here in Wilmington, North Carolina, and teaching has just been always something I've loved. And so ever since I was a little girl, I would play class with my friends, and so I knew I've always strived to be an educator. And so I started early. And then I decided to go ahead and go to Cape Fear Community College, and I did dual enrollment while I was in high school. And then I went ahead to UNCW at the Watson School of Education and completing my bachelor's there, so I can be an educator. And I'm in the works right now of becoming nationally board certified. To increase parent involvement in my classroom, I like to do a lot of project-based learning to try to get parents involved and interested in what their child is doing in my classroom. So one thing I specifically do here at Sunset Park is I help coordinate and run the school science fair. And so for a couple of months throughout the year, from about October into January, I coordinate students from grades 3 through 5 for the science fair. They'll stay after school with me and we'll work on science fair projects, and I really try to get parents involved with helping them with any sort of project-based learning. I also do the normal newsletters, the phone calls, the emails, and the texts, and we also have some parent nights and PTAs here throughout the year. And one day a year we do student-led conferences where the students are allowed to come in and walk their parent through the everyday life of a student, and they'll show them their notebooks and things like that and any PowerPoints they've created throughout the year. And so they can kind of guide their parents throughout the year of what they've done. But I really do a lot of project-based learning to try to get the parents actually involved in what's going on in the classroom. I stay up to date with different changes in education by just doing research. We meet with my fellow peer teachers each week in PLCs, and we constantly collaborate with each other, talk about the new and great ideas and what worked in our classrooms and maybe what didn't work in our classrooms. And also I do professional development throughout the year where I continually go out into the community and seek out people and get knowledge from them. And I'm just trying to constantly adapt my classroom to what works because each year is different. What works for this year's students might not work for next year's students. So I'm constantly doing research on the internet, talking to peer colleagues, or going to professional developments, helping me try to learn the new trend for what works for this year's student to make them successful. So technology is a big part in today's classroom, and so one way I help encourage with technology with students is we do the science tech book. It's similar to a traditional textbook that's on the shelves, but this is more of an online tech book. And so the students will come in, they can have laptops or in the back computers, they'll get on the tech book, and then they can go to their science curriculum that way. And so I use that each and every day. The students love it, it's engaging, it's fun, it's a great resource, it's continually getting updated. They have videos and virtual labs, science sleuths, images, writing prompts, and reading, and so it's really an all-in-one great technology piece that I incorporate a lot. So that's the main technology-driven aspect that I'm doing for this year in my science classroom. Okay. One unique program that I love is the program called Starbase, and Starbase is with the Department of Defense. And they have this week-long program where instructors will come in, they'll teach your class for an entire week. You'll do all these fun, wonderful hands-on things in the STEM field for science, technology, engineering, and math. And throughout the week, they're making a rocket, they're learning aerodynamics. It incorporates math, reading, and science, and all the subjects. And the culminating activity is the end of the week. They'll get to make a rocket, and they'll get to shoot off the rocket at the base. And then they actually get to keep the leftover parts. And so it's a really wonderful program. Sadly, the funding was cut this year, so I was not able to participate. But hopefully next year, we'll be able to participate again when the funding gets reinstated. But it's a really wonderful program that allows children a week to just have fun and do inquiry-based science and really get hands-on activities and enjoy learning that way.
We have so many great teachers here in the new Hanover County school system.
Yes, we do, and we'll feature more of those wonderful teachers each month here on the morning show.
All right. It's time now to swing over to the news desk with Felix Thibodeau, who is standing by with our first look at your school news. Good morning, Felix.
Good morning, and welcome to your school news on the morning show. I'm Felix Thibodeau. The Board of Education held their monthly meeting on April 1st. The meeting was not long and featured a number of board recognitions and a long list of new business items. We start this week's newscast with our board notes, and standing by in the newsroom is YSN reporter Chase Fulton.
The April Board of Education meeting featured a full agenda of new business, a number of policies under old business that evoked some discussion. But first, the meeting started with recognitions of achievement. The board recognized Sarah Gubitz, the 2014 North Carolina Gifted Administrator of the Year. Then, with the help of the Superintendent of Human Resources, the board honored the dozens of teachers who have become newly National Board Certified teachers and those who renewed their certification. Under old business, the policies for second reading were all approved. They include Policy 6434, use of tobacco or nicotine is prohibited by adults, Policy 8200, school counseling program, Council Policy 8410, policies, rules, and procedures relating to student discipline, Policy 8420, student substance abuse, and Policy 8430, use and possession of tobacco or nicotine by students. There were 18 items of new business for the board to discuss and vote on at the April meeting. Audit contract with Sherry Bickert LLP, Wilmington Health Access for Teens contract, extended calendar for Lake Forest Academy, Sunset Park Elementary School year-round calendar, Ashley High School Marine Science Academy Memorandum of Understanding, disposal of surplus property in Riceville Beach Baptist Church lease agreement extension. Under operations were bids for Noble Middle School HVAC Phase 2 improvements, bids for Laney and New Hanover High School partial roof replacement, bids for Johnson Pre-K Center asbestos abatement and carpet replacement, bids for Hal Pre-K Center kitchen HVAC, bids for the installation of panic alarms, and bids for Virgo Preparatory Academy lighting replacement. In the field of technology, BrainPop Sole Source Resolution, TCI History Alive Sole Source Solution, EarthWalk Sole Source Solution, and a Pearson Sole Source Resolution. The board also reluctantly approved the 25% selection process as mandated by the state. For teachers, that is slated to go into effect with the start of the new school year. And finally, settlement agreements were discussed and voted on in closed session. The next regular Board of Education meeting will be Tuesday, May 6, 2014, at 5:30 p.m. at the Board of Education Center, 1805 South 13th Street. As always, if you cannot attend the meeting in person, you can watch the telecast live here on the Learning Network or tune in for rebroadcasts. Wednesday nights at 8 p.m., Friday mornings at 8 a.m., and Sundays at 1 p.m. Board meetings can also be watched online at www.nhcs.net. I'm Chase Fulton. Back to you.
School public relations professionals across the state are honored annually for products of their craft during the North Carolina School Public Relations Association's annual Blue Ribbon Awards for the Effective Communications Celebration. This year, New Hanover County Schools Public Relations Department was honored with 3 Blue Ribbon Achievement Awards in 2 different categories. The Teacher of the Year poster and the Facts brochure both received awards in the Special Purposes Publication category, while the school system's homepage received an award in the Internet Website category. The homepage is maintained through collaboration between the Public Relations Department and the Technology Department. Casey and Connor Barth recently visited College Park Elementary to give a motivational speech to the 3rd through 5th graders. They used the 7 habits of happy kids to relate their values to the students and talked about why they have been successful in their lives. The students got to ask questions and get autographs. 2 footballs were awarded to random students, and 2 4th graders presented the men with gifts from the school.
First off, just to have a NFL player, 2 NFL players being able to come and speak is just, we never had that in elementary school. And just to kind of just hear from us how we were successful, and maybe if they just took one thing from what we talked about, just from just being proactive to, you know, we talked about synergy and working as a team. Just if they took anything from just one thing, you know, hopefully it'll make them more successful and determined through their life, and hopefully learning it from a young age will help. And my whole thing was just coming out and really it's just about putting a smile on these kids' faces and just.
Connor Barth is currently a place kicker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was signed by the Kansas City Chiefs as an undrafted free agent in 2008 and played college football at Chapel Hill. As a member of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he currently has the highest field goal percentage in franchise history. Brother Casey, as a place kicker for Carolina, made a pair of field goals to become the school's record holder for career field goals, surpassing his brother's record. For all of the latest in New Hanover County Schools, join us weekdays at 5:30 p.m. here on Time Warner Cable Channel 5 and Charter Cable Channel 12 for your school news, a complete half hour of all the latest news and information from New Hanover County Schools. Now back to our hosts.
Thanks. In addition to watching your school news in the morning show, you can see many of NHCS TV's programming online.
Just go to the school system's website at www.nhcs.net and click on the NHCS TV video library link under items of interest right there on the front page.
You can watch great programs there like Diversity Matters, The Forum, and Upfront with the Superintendent.
It's an excellent way to watch our programming whenever you want.
Each month, we poll students on their thoughts from a host of questions. These questions range from local and national current events to topics that are just for fun. We feature their answers in a segment we call Student Voices. This week, we asked students at Pine Valley Elementary School, do you think it is important to learn a second language? And here's what they had to say.
I think it's important to learn a second language because if you go to like a country in like Sweden or France and you don't know how to speak their language, you should always learn one of their languages so you can like communicate with them.
I would say it would be important to learn a second language, so if you have a friend that's over in France, you can speak his language and talk to his friends that's over in France.
Yes, because it could actually help you understand your first language better. Yes, because I have a couple of friends and a neighbor next door, he speaks English and Spanish, and sometimes it's hard to understand. So I think maybe sometimes it would be good for me to communicate a little bit better.
In my opinion, it kind of depends on if you know someone who speaks a different language or if you want to move to a foreign country. It sort of, in my opinion, depends, because if you were going to, or you do know someone like that, then you would want to be able to speak a different language so you could maybe understand them better. But if not, I don't think there's very much of a point unless you're planning on doing it or something.
Yes, because you could meet a lot of different people from different countries, and also it would help if you owned a business.
Yes, I do, because if you learn a second language, you could travel to foreign countries and speak to different people.
I would say yes, and the reason why is because mostly people need to know a second language because most jobs require it. And most Americans go overseas for jobs, and if we didn't speak their language and they don't speak our language, we wouldn't have an opportunity to work.
Yes, sir, because America is known for foreign people coming and living there, and if you did know a second language, you could communicate with them, you can make new friends, you could speak to them and travel better, you can make them feel welcome. And if you went into law enforcement and you were a police officer and somebody was speeding and was foreign and you didn't know how to speak their language, you couldn't tell them if they were doing anything wrong or told them to stop. And so they wouldn't know if they were doing anything wrong or not.
Yes, because I do think it's important because it might help you get better jobs and learn things about life.
Thanks, Pine Valley. What do you think, EJ? Do you think it's important to learn a second language?
I do, very much so. What about you?
I do think it's important to learn a second language because then you can relate with people from other countries, and that's always really fun to talk to somebody in another language.
Don't go away. This rip-roaring edition of the morning show will continue right after this break. But before we have to go, we have our trivia question of the day.
Since this week is spring break, our trivia question is about spring break.
The first official spring break event was actually a swim meet for 300 students held in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Today our trivia question asks, what year did the first official spring break take place? Is it A, 1920, B, 1938, C, 1959, or D, 1972?
We'll have the answer when we return.
I'm tall enough to reach the monkey bars.
I can reach anything on the counter, even things you think I can't. I can understand everything you S-P-E-L.
I'm the tallest kid in my class.
I'm getting pretty big, but to help me survive a car crash, I still need you to give me a boost.
Until they're 4'9", use a booster seat in the car and don't let them down.
It may seem intimidating, but really, it's one of the easiest things you can ever do.
I've been practicing.
Good. You're gonna need it.
Help America's youth. Be a friend. Be a mentor. Just be there.
Go to bigbrothersbigsisters.org.
Welcome back to the morning show. I'm Jamie Stauffer.
And I'm EJ McGonigal.
Before the break, we asked our trivia question of the day. What year did the first official spring break take place? A, 1920, B, 1938, C, 1959, or D, 1972?
Think about it a moment. The correct answer is B, 1938. By 1959, over 20,000 students showed up for spring break in Fort Lauderdale.
Here's a few more spring break facts. Over 1.5 million students go on spring break each year. They spend over $1 billion.
The number one U.S. spring break destination is Daytona Beach, Florida. However, along with beach trips, many travel agencies offer spring break deals on skiing and snowboarding destinations.
And not everyone spends their spring break on recreation. About 35,000 students spend their spring break volunteering, including 10,000 students who build houses with the Habitat for Humanity.
Shifting gears now, Our next segment is College Bound 411. College Bound 411 is dedicated to helping students achieve their dream of attending college. We provide practical and timely information for students so they can compete effectively for college admission. We also clue you in on the latest in scholarship information. So get out that pen and paper.
Welcome to this month's edition of College Bound 411. Each month here on College Bound 411, we offer you a list of a wide variety of scholarships in all categories. If you are planning on going to college, then it's time to start learning about scholarships. Scholarships are easy ways to help you pay for college. There are tons of different scholarships to apply for. With a little time and effort, every high school student can find scholarships to apply for. The first scholarship we are featuring this month is the Big Dig Scholarship. This is a unique scholarship in which applicants must write an essay on a question that relates to antiques. Selection is based on the grammatical correctness and the originality of the essay. The award amount for this scholarship is $3,000. The deadline is June 1st, 2014. If you would like to find out more information about the Big Dig Scholarship, you can visit www.antiquetrader.tv. The second scholarship we have for you this month is the Common Knowledge Scholarship. The Common Knowledge Scholarship Foundation offers a wide variety of scholarship quizzes throughout the year for U.S. high school, college, and graduate students. They even have some scholarships that parents can win for their children. All you have to do is take a quiz and show what you know. It's easy. Competitions consist of one or more quizzes with topics ranging from general common knowledge to specific academic subjects, books, websites, and even movies. Scores are based on a combination of time and accuracy. Students with the highest scores at the end of the competition win. Award amounts range from $250 to $2,500. For more information, visit www.cksf.org. The final scholarship we will have for you this month is the Delete Cyberbullying Scholarship Award. This scholarship is offered in an effort to get students committed to the cause of stopping cyberbullying. All you have to do is write a short essay on one of the following questions. Why is it important to work to delete cyberbullying? Or how has cyberbullying personally affected you? An award amount of $1,250 will be given to help with educational expenses. If you want to find out more information, you can visit www.deletecyberbullying.org/scholarships. And now it's time for our College Bound Tips of the Month. Know the testing requirements for the college you're going to. Whether you're taking the SAT or the ACT, sign up well before the deadline while there's still room at the testing site you would like to go to. Give yourself enough time to be able to retake the test if you're not satisfied with your scores. Don't wait until the last minute. That's College Bound 411 for this month, to help you plan, prepare, and pay for college. Check out www.cfnc.org. College Foundation of North Carolina is a free service of the state of North Carolina that helps students plan, apply, and pay for college. And don't forget, spending a little time and effort now preparing for college will help you greatly in the future.
If you're college bound, be sure to communicate with counselors and potential colleges to confirm specific dates for application deadlines as well as course requirements.
Normally at this point in our show, we feature the week's lunch menu. However, this is the week of spring break and schools are closed. Don't fret though, we have an exciting Cook It, which will show you how to make a delicious, healthy lunch at home.
How you guys doing today? My name is Demarion Barnhart, and I was wondering, are you tired of going to one of your favorite restaurants and order one of your favorite meals and having to have a side salad on the side just to say you're sticking to your diet or you're staying healthy? Well, all that ends today. Today I'm going to be demonstrating to you how to make something what you call is a pita sandwich. Pita bread originated back in the 1960s, 1970s in the Western cultures when you were just basically stuffing your favorite meal inside of pita bread and dipping it in something like olive oil or ranch dressing or another type of dressing. So today we got some salad materials and we're just gonna stuff a salad in the pita bread and top it with some grilled chicken and make some of our homemade ranch. So I'm gonna start off by, we got the grilled chicken on the grill back there, and we're going to start off by making our homemade salad. So we got a cup of mayo, get all that in there. We got a half a cup of sour cream, we got some parsley. We're going to use just a half a tablespoon. We got some dill wheat. We're going to use a half a tablespoon of that too. We got 1/4 tablespoon of garlic powder. We got 1/8 tablespoon of salt and pepper. And we're going to just simply whisk all those ingredients together. Put some elbow grease into it too. And there's your homemade ranch dressing. We're going to let that chill for 30 minutes or so. And we're going to start off making our pita sandwich. Got some grilled chicken right here. We're going to open the pita bread like so. Put just a little bit of grilled chicken on there. Yeah. Then we're going to coat it with some lettuce. We got some shredded cheese, some chopped eggs, some cucumbers, and we're going to use our ranch dressing. And there's your pita bread sandwich. I enjoyed you guys' audience today. I hope you enjoy your meal just as much as I am. Have a nice day. Thanks for tuning in to Cook It.
Wow, that looks like one tasty sandwich.
I agree. Plus, homemade dressing. That will be fun to try.
Yep, it was another great recipe from our Cook It team.
Math Fun 101 is a brief yet very useful math lesson. Produced in conjunction with and hosted by middle school math coaches and teachers, this segment takes a look at an everyday problem and how to solve it. The segment also gives us a little bit of information we can use to solve similar problems in our own lives. This week, Ryan Red from Myrtle Grove has a challenging problem for us based on angles.
Hey, I'm Ryan Red. Welcome to Math Fun 101. Today we have a cool math problem we're going to work on, and then we're going to talk about how it applies to your life. So if we go to the board, I have two triangles, and my question is, would I rather push a 20-pound box up this triangle, or would I rather push a 20-pound box up this triangle? Well, but just by looking at it, I can tell that this triangle has it's a bit steeper, and I can tell that this side's going to be a bit longer, but I don't know for sure until I figure out the length of each side. So I do know that I'm dealing with two right triangles, and the way that I know that is because I have two perpendicular lines that form a right angle. So I know that this is a right angle, and I know that this is a right angle. Therefore, this is a right triangle. And I know that when I have a right triangle, I can use the Pythagorean theorem to find the missing side length, or the missing leg of a right triangle. So I know that I can use the Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And the box that I want to push up is actually on the leg that's called the hypotenuse, and in our theorem that is c, so that's our missing length. I'm going to leave it c squared. And then A and B stand for the two legs, and the two legs are the legs of the triangle, the right triangle that surround the right angle. So I'm going to take 3, I'm going to square that, and then I'm going to take 5, and I'm going to square that as well. And now it's just like an equation that we begin to solve. So I know 3 squared is 9, and I know 5 squared is 25, and that is going to be equal to c squared. So now I need to add 9 and 25, which I know is 34. And I have not found c yet because what I'm looking for is a number times itself that equals c. And to do that, I do the inverse of squared, which is square root. So I square root c, and then I'm going to have to square root 34, and I end up with 5 8/10 meters. So I know that this side length is 5 8/10 meters long. Okay, so I have my one side of my first triangle. Now I need to find the other side of my other triangle. So I'm going to apply the same theorem, which is the Pythagorean theorem. And I know, again, I'm looking for my hypotenuse. So all I need to do is leave c as c squared, and then plug in my information, my values. So here I have 3 squared plus 11 squared is equal to c squared. And I know 3 times 3 is 9, and 11 times 11 is 121, and the sum of my legs will equal the side squared, so that's going to be 130 is equal to c squared. And again, to make sure that I find the number that is multiplied by itself to give me c, I take the square root of 130, and that gives me 11 4/10. So this side is equal to 11 4/10 meters. So now I have the decision, do I want to push this 20-pound box up a steep 5.8 meter hill, or an 11.4 that doesn't seem to have as much of a slope? So I think that would be up to you to decide if you could push it up really fast, or you could take your time, but it wouldn't be as steep as the other triangle. So the question about the Pythagorean theorem is, when do you apply that in everyday life? So anytime you have a right triangle and you have a missing side length, you know that you can always use the Pythagorean theorem to figure out that side length. So if I have a garden that's a right triangle and I want to put it up against a fence and another board, and then I need to define the diagonal length, you can use that. The diagonal length of TVs or iPads, that information is all given using the Pythagorean theorem. So those are some different applications of how you would use Pythagorean theorem in everyday life.
Thank you, Miss Red. That was great information for all of us and an interesting question.
I will have to think about which option I would choose.
It was a tough choice. Now coming up, we have our Career Technical Highlights segment and more Your School News here on The Morning Show. But first, we have a little music for your morning.
Franz Peter Schubert is also known as the Master of Song because he wrote more than 600 songs. Some of his well-known works are Serenade, Ave Maria, and Who is Sylvia? He had a very successful career as a composer. He composed songs, symphonies, masses, and quartets.
During his childhood, he was very involved with music. His father taught him to play the violin, and he played the piano and viola as well. His massive body of works is impressive given the fact that he died at the age of 31.
Serenade, also known as Swan Song, was Schubert's posthumous collection. It contains the settings of 3 poets and was published a few months after his death.
Here's this morning's great moment of music.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Who was president? The years 1969 to 1974. He was the first president to visit all 50 states. He was the first president to visit communist China. He was part of the worst political scandal in American history. If you guessed Richard M. Nixon, you're right. He was the 37th President of the United States. This presidential pop quiz has been brought to you by New Hanover County Schools on the Learning Network, Time Warner Cable Channel 5.
Welcome back to the morning show. I'm E.J. McGonigal. The mission of career technical education is to help empower students for effective participation in an international economy as world-class workers and citizens. They have a wide range of programs offered to both middle school and high school students. Today, we take an in-depth look at one of those programs. We travel to New Hanover High School and learn about a unique project the technology education classes have been working on.
For my students at a second level, you want to kind of raise the stakes in a second level course. You've been through, you've learned the basics. Now, really, how does it apply in a real life situation? This equipment has to work. It's not just something they turn into me for a grade and is never thought of again. It is something that they have to figure out on their own how to build it, the sizes, the dimensions. They have to learn who their clients are. And it has to work. It has to be safe. It has to be functional. It needs to look good. And there really is no alternative. It's not almost as good enough. It has to be just right in order for it to work, to meet the needs of the students that their equipment is being designed for.
We started off just drawing ideas, and I was paired with 2 other students, and we all kind of got together and decided what was the best design that we could use. And from there, we built small models, and those were just kind of like to see what we wanted to do. And then we had to build 2 or 3 prototypes. And from there, we started doing precise measurements, and we had to get it very precise on the last model.
Cardboard is readily available. Basically, all I have to do is take some time and run down to, pick up scrap cardboard. If we make mistakes, we haven't lost any money. So it's easily manipulated with just a knife or a pair of scissors. So there's not a great expense involved. The equipment that we design and build for the students typically would cost hundreds or thousands of dollars. So we're meeting a need for our students here at New Hanover and in the county at next to no cost.
I was a little skeptical at first because I'm like, really, cardboard? Is it going to hold up with these kids? So I was like, well, we'll give it a shot because a lot of the stuff we need is very expensive. And rather than being on a waiting list for insurance to pay for some of our equipment, we're like, let's see what they can build us. And if it holds up, then it's great. The children have new seats to sit in and all kinds of things like that. And I was very surprised when we had a 4-seater last over a year.
It was tough. I was kind of skeptical on how we were going to be able to build this equipment to support these kids with just cardboard. And it did take a few prototypes because the measurements would be wrong. We'd have to measure their feet. And it really helped me improve in my skills designing and engineering because how much we had to do to get it just right.
Now, my teacher was great, and he taught us how to cut cardboard, and we found ways to like make it stay. Like you'll put a score in it and then put it together so that it could make a shape or something like that.
The socialization aspect was wonderful because on Fridays, like during the week, they would come over and do the measurements and all that kind of stuff. But then on Friday, they kind of just got to come and chill and watch a movie or play the Wii, bake a snack or do a craft with us. And both groups loved it and they took to each other very well.
It made it easier for me to make my project because I got to know Claire as well as the other students, but I got to know things she liked and how she needed the desk to be for it to be effective for her. And getting to know them was great. They're all nice kids, and it made me realize a lot of things because they might have special needs, but they are just like us.
I think it made it easier to build their equipment when we interacted with them and came over on Fridays. It was fun just to kind of take off of the work aspect of it and come over here and hang out with them. We watched movies and played Wii and stuff, and it's kind of just less stressful that way.
I love coming in here and interacting with the kids because it helped me see what they needed and how hard it probably is to get what they needed, and for us to come and be a helpful manner to them was good.
Since last year, we've built one piece of equipment per student. This year, we started to expand. One student needed his equipment modified from last year. So basically, it was taking what was done last year, making some changes to it, and then those students began working on a project for another student. We had another student who actually ended up with 2 pieces of equipment this semester. We have started expanding our work to other schools in the county. So we've established a relationship with Miss Amber Lee at Holly Shelter and her students, where we're building 2 pieces of equipment for her kids there.
I've learned that almost anything can be made and anything is possible when you design it right and you put a lot of time and effort into it.
I like how we were able to give them something that would probably take a while to get because it's so expensive. So I do plan on, as long as I'm in Hanover, to work with the students and make anything I can make to help them.
If you would like to learn more about the Health Science Program or any of New Hanover County Schools' CTE programs, visit the website www.nhcs.net/workforce or call their office at 910-254-4241.
Now let's swing over to the news desk for more Your School News with Felix Thibodeau.
Thank you, and welcome everyone to Your School News here on The Morning Show. The Recycled Trash Talkers, the Human Beans, and Eco-Raptors teams from John T. Hoggard High School participated in the Coastal Envirothon. The competition was held at Weyerhaeuser's Cool Springs Environmental Education Center in Craven County this month. The Coastal Envirothon is a qualifying event for the State Envirothon competition. We have a complete report just how Hoggard did at this year's event from YSN reporter Jamie Stalfort.
More than 200 middle and high school students competed in 5-member teams at the Coastal Envirothon competition, vying for trophies, prizes, and bragging rights. Envirothon is the most widely recognized hands-on environmental education program in the nation. Middle and high school students immerse themselves in a year-long learning process that combines in-class curriculum with hands-on field experiences facilitated by resource professionals such as soil scientists, foresters, and wildlife specialists. 3 teams from Hoggard High School participated in this year's Envirothon competition held at the Weyerhaeuser's Cool Springs Environmental Education Center in Craven County. Team members include Sarah Spalding, Austin Miller, Elaine King, Caroline Eastep, Stephanie Smith, Megan Trotta, Amanda Winton, Bailey Saito, Paige Scott, Ashley Fry, Chrissy Canaday, Josh Bedian, Preston Shakar, Lindsay Justice, Nick Menini, Ryan Goodwin, Taryn Williams, and Venice Leone, with team advisors Ed Terzane and Sherry Thompson and district team coordinator Amy Long.
When we get to competition, our students do a number of hands-on events, such as there's one that we do called Wildlife, which is one of the 5 events that they take part in, and they'll be given something, a skull such as this, and they'll have to identify the skull by its genus and species. And also, there's some other things they do, like in their aquatic events, they'll be given various fish that they'll have to identify or answer questions about the flora and the fauna of the area while they're competing.
The Hoggard teams advanced to the state level Envirothon to be held at the end of April at Cedar Rock Park in Alamance County. The top 14 teams, 7 high school and 7 middle school, from each area will then move on to state level competition.
Our teams, and they are in groups of 5, they will prepare by meeting during lunch about once a week and hopefully studying their materials. And prior to the competition, we'll have a guest speaker from the New Hanover County Soil and Water Conservation District come in to speak with them and hopefully review some materials.
Envirothon competition tests student knowledge in 5 subject areas: soil, land use, aquatic ecology, forestry, wildlife, and current environmental issues. Scores in each of the individual areas determines a team's winning placement. The competition is held by the United States and Canada. The concept originally started in Pennsylvania as the Environmental Olympics and expanded quickly to become the National Envirothon, and then the North American Envirothon as the concept and program spread to Canada. Roughly 500,000 students from 45 U.S. states and 9 Canadian provinces and territories participate in the competition. Reporting for Your School News, this is Jamie Stalford.
We have 4 students here in our school system who have been awarded prestigious Moorhead Kane and Park scholarships. Sarah Spalding of Hoggard High School and Patrick Peoples of New Hanover High School have been awarded the prestigious Moorhead Kane Scholarship by the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. The Moorhead Kane program provides a 4-year merit scholarship to attend UNC Chapel Hill. In addition, Rachel DeLange of Hoggard High School and Rachel Walter of New Hanover High School have been awarded the esteemed Park Scholarship by North Carolina State University. The Park Scholarship provides a 4-year scholarship to attend NC State. Congratulations to all 4 of these students. As a school-wide incentive, 4 staff members of Anderson Elementary School dressed up as the rock band KISS for the day with a small 3-song performance at the end of the school day. The students were promised and challenged if they collectively raised over $6,000 in support of National Heart Association's Jump Rope for the Heart, that Mr. Fallon, Mr. Matthews, Mr. Bayless, and Mr. Mullins would dress up as members of the rock and roll band KISS and have a performance at the end of the day. The students at Anderson got to work and raised over $14,000 for the American Heart Association. 3rd grader Emma Graham was the top fundraiser, bringing in more than $1,000. Mr. Fallon, the school's PE teacher and the fundraisers coordinator, worked extremely hard over the last couple of years to excite students to raise money for the American Heart Association, and was beyond thrilled when the students more than doubled the challenge amount. Emma Graham, the top fundraiser, was also thrilled because her reward is she gets to be principal for a day. The other top 4 fundraisers from each grade level got to participate in a students versus staff basketball game. That's all for now. To watch this week's edition of Your School News online, visit the school system's website at www.nhcs.net and click on the video library link under Items of Interest on the homepage. Now back over to Jamie and EJ.
Thanks, Felix. We bring our show to a close with a fun yet educational game.
That's right, Jamie. It's time for us to compete in a morning show challenge. Spring tic-tac-toe.
Exciting.
Let's send it back over to Felix, who has all the rules. Welcome back, Felix.
Thank you. Here are the rules. I will ask a spring-related question. If you get it right, you can mark the board in an open spot of your choosing. The questions will rotate back and forth. If we run out of questions or tie, the person with the most marks on the board wins. Jamie, you will mark the board with X's, and EJ, you will mark the board with O's. I flipped a coin before the show, and Jamie, you get to go first.
Alright.
Okay, contestants, are you ready?
Yes.
I'm ready.
Okay.
Which imagery is most associated with the spring season? A, blazing sun. B, snow. C, foliage. D, blossoms, or E, none of these?
D, blossoms.
You're correct.
Yay! Okay, I want to put mine in the middle.
Okay.
Right in the middle. Yay, all right.
Okay. EJ?
Yes.
The first day of spring is technically called A, the spring solstice, B, the spring equinox, C, Easter, or D, none of the above.
Is it the spring equinox?
You are correct.
All right, cool.
Good job.
Because like solstice is winter and summer.
Yeah.
Top left. Top left. All right.
Okay, Jamie?
Yes.
Spring months vary according to climate and geographic location. In North America, spring season starts in which calendar month? A, January, B, March, C, May, D, July, or E, September?
March.
You are correct.
Oh, all right. Top middle, right there. I'm going for the gold right down the middle. Okay, Silver, your turn.
Okay, EJ. Right. In many cultures, spring symbolizes A, rebirth, B, life, C, death, D, love, or E, all of these.
E, all of these.
You are incorrect.
Oh. All right.
What was the answer?
The correct answer is A, rebirth.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay.
Okay, Jamie?
Yes.
Spring is the season of flowers. The Japanese celebrate the arrival of spring by hosting mass viewings of which flower? A, peach blossoms, B, tulips, C, sunflowers, D, carnations, or E, cherry blossoms.
E, cherry blossoms.
You are correct.
All right, I win right down the middle.
You have to ask them to put it there first.
Okay, now I win. Yay!
Good
Yay.
job.
All right.
All right, and our winner is Jamie. Congratulations. You are this year's winners of Spring Tic-Tac-Toe.
Well, that does it for this edition of The Morning Show. Remember, for the best TV of all, each and every day, keep it tuned right here for New Hanover County Schools TV on the Learning Network of the Cape Fear.
Have a great day.
And a wonderful week.